can I just introduce to you Emily Feller. Emily, welcome.
Thank you.
Emily is a TV producer and you're married with 2 children. Is that right?
Yes.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
How old are your children?
They are 7 and 4.
Brilliant. And, well, brilliant, you've got children, but good. And I think that certainly your oldest, the boy girl, son is a bit of a TV star now. He's appeared in some of your shows, is that right?
Yeah. I'm not a pushy mother in any shape or form, apart from the fact that I do cast my son. I work on. So, yes.
Good. Can I ask you, as I always do about younger people trying to get into the TV world and their career, how did you become it? Well, firstly, what is a TV producer and how did you become a TV producer?
So I've made some notes to remind myself what my job is, because obviously I'd forget that. I do it every day. A TV producer is someone who is in charge of the production and makes the production. So you are the conduit between the channel who have commissioned you and are giving you money, you're conduit with the writer and with the production. And it's up to you to coordinate, it's up to you to deliver the programme to the channel, and it's up to you to make sure the writer is happy with the programme and that you're also delivering their vision and their idea. So that's essentially what it is. The producer hires the director. The producer is then involved in the casting, the hiring of the HODs, the heads of department. So I hire the designer, the casting director, the editor, the director of photography, the sound designer, costume and makeup, and hair designer. I hire the line producer, so the line producer works directly to the producer. The line producer is essentially the line manager in charge of the whole crew and the budget, and they report into me. So I'm essentially in charge of delivering the show, so however many millions of pounds, because I work in high-end drama, I have to deliver it for that cost. So then I manage everyone there, so if there's any problems on set, if there's cast problems, essentially the line producer will deal with daily issues like people being off sick or something quite straightforward like a hotel problem, or the day-to-day is a camera not working, and they'll only come to me when there's a big problem, and then other than that I'll deal with just big problems. So really the lead up to what I do, because I'm very lucky, I work in development as well, so I tend to develop the shows that I then make. So they take a long time. So a show called Ordinary Lies that I made was something that was 5 years from talking about the idea to it being filmed.
I think that was on BBC One.
That was BBC One. A show called Trust Me that's just been on BBC One, and that was another 5-year experience. So that's the fun bit, is the development and the getting a channel interested and getting the money and getting the green light, so getting the go-ahead to make it. And after that you just become the problem go-to. So dealing with problems that people have, and really it's about balancing the big decisions. Is it worth spending that bit of money to make that person happy, or is it worth cutting that location because we can't afford it, or all of the bigger decisions about what then gets delivered. So that's what the producer does.
That's brilliant. And is there a course called TV production?
There's a TV production course, but I don't think it's necessarily aimed at just producing.
Right.
There's producer courses at the NFTS, the National Film School. But really, I would say that you're not going to get hired on a show, a big drama, as a producer unless you've worked your way up. I can't really think of anyone anyway that I know that's maybe produced a short film and then produced a drama. I think that there's quite a big risk factor because there's quite a lot of money involved. So on a TV perspective, I can't talk for film. On a TV perspective, really it's to work your way up.
So, in which case, could you leave school with no qualifications and then make a tea and work your way up, or is that quite rare?
Yes, you can. I don't see why not. For all I know, there's plenty of producers out there that do that.
What did you do? I know you're not actually from Didsbury, as many others are, but you're from London.
I'm from London.
So,
yeah.
how did you get from London to Didsbury, and how did you become a producer?
I wasn't the most academic person at school. I did media studies for GCSE, and it was the only subject that I just adored. I wanted to concentrate and I wanted to work in it. And so then I decided I should do media studies A-level because I thought I would concentrate and work hard. And then I thought maybe I should do media at university because again I might actually have something to be interested in. And I still had no idea what I wanted to do. And it was only really when I left, when I was sort of in my third year at university, I thought, oh, I think I want to work in television because I think it would be fun and I think I'd work hard. I think I would want to do that. And I did some work experience at the Big Breakfast.
How did you get that?
I applied and just sent my CV off and asked, and they gave it to me. It was a 4-week job and I lasted 3 weeks, and they asked me to leave and said I had a terrible attitude and that I would never work in television again.
Look at you now!
So my aim was always then to make an award-winning show, get invited onto the Big Breakfast and then not go, but that's finished that now. So anyway, so I was actually really disillusioned after that. I had about a year of being quite concerned about what I was going to do, and maybe I wasn't ever going to work in television, in which case I had no idea what I was going to do. Anyway, move on. There was an opportunity for a 2-month contract at Watchdog, and my best friend happened to be the production secretary there and said, you should apply for it. I was working in used car sales at the time after university, and so I applied for it, and I was very lucky because at university a lot of my friends couldn't just drop everything, go to London for a 2-month contract, but because my family were there, I had that ability that I didn't need to 6-month money because I didn't have to have a flat or anything. So I was very lucky in that respect. And so I did the 2-month contract, which then got extended, and I worked in finance as a finance assistant on Watchdog. And it took me another year really the pinnacle for me had always been drama. I never thought I could ever work in it. I just used to watch drama. I think it was amazing. I thought the detail on television, the performances, the story, the look of it, I just thought it was like just the most amazing thing that you could never touch or get involved in. And that's when I started to think that I'd like to make it. And I didn't know if it was possible then, and I just met loads and loads of people when I was at the BBC. I just would ask loads of people if I could have a coffee, if I could ask them. And by talking to all these different people in drama, I worked out a route for myself. So I knew that I wouldn't be a very good AD, an assistant director, because that's where you work on the floor, so you're a runner, you're a third AD, and that involves a lot of manual running around, very long hours, and I just knew that I wouldn't be very good and I wouldn't necessarily be the best I could be. You could go through the office route, which was production secretary, doing lots of organising. You have to have very good organising skills and very good, again, very long hours, but very, as any office I think that you work in, it's that on a sort of bigger scale for some people. Anyway, so then I worked out that I can go the creative route, which is script editing. And I thought that was the most wonderful job that I'd never heard of before. And that was my aim, and that's what I did.
Yeah, amazing, gosh. And so when you decide to have a family and have children, women are asked often, how do you do it? No one ever asks a man how they do it. So how does John cope with your work schedule, which often involves, trust me, it was filmed in Glasgow.
Yeah.
How did he cope with you away and working, essentially?
Well, he would probably have to answer that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't know.
But I'm assuming you put things into place.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I think that it's quite telling that out of the producers that I know, most producers are either men or women older than me whose children have already grown up. I don't know any producers who have young children at all, actually, and I think that's quite telling because it's a humongous commitment. It's 16, 18-hour days, 5 days a week and the weekends, and I did a 6-month stint in Cardiff and a 5-month stint in Glasgow, and it's massive. But I think you have to have a very understanding partner, and you just do it. I mean, everything gets planned by me before I go. School holidays are horrendous. You're literally running around with plates spinning everywhere. If one of them gets ill, God, you know, just, who knows what I have to deal with that.
We all know that.
So it's just a constant plate spinning, but I love the challenge, and I love the fact that Zuki, my son, asked me a few months ago, who saw a programme on CBBC about children, I think 12-year-olds that went abroad to work in other industries, or work in industries, and to experience work in other countries. And I said to him, oh, that sounds amazing. Is that something you'd like to do when you're 12? Oh no, mummy, it sounds like really hard work. And I said to him, it's not hard work if it's something you feel passionate about. He said, what's passion, mummy? And I thought, oh my goodness, I don't know how to explain what passion is, only that I feel really proud that I can talk to him about how much I love my job. And my children look at me and see that work isn't just about getting some money to do, you know, to have a holiday or to feed your family. You know, it's not a chore. That I feel like I'm the luckiest person. I've got the best job. I love it. I get to go to work and talk about to 10 people all day and come up with crazy, silly stories. You know.
So to that end, you know, are you keen to mentor other young people who are coming? I know you speak in schools about a career, but particularly in deprived areas or disadvantaged areas. Are you open to mentoring young people or offering opportunities for work experience, bearing in mind how hard it is?
It is really hard. One of the things that I am open to that, and one of the things I do is I'm on the RTS, Royal Television Society North West Committee, and one of the events that I've run, and I'm doing again this year, is where I'll do a sort of getting into media afternoon at a school in a deprived area.
I hate that word, but what I mean is schools not in Didsbury.
Yes, and also as I get invited into private schools or independent schools or universities, places where people have already got that leg into something. So I very specifically have targeted schools and colleges where they have media studies in where they might not be confident to be asking people to come into schools. And then I've organised a session of people in journalism, people like young trainees, me talking about drama, and trying to make sure it's not just white middle class men talking about it, so that people feel like there's open platform for everybody to get in. And it was, the first one I did was very successful, and we had a couple of girls come up and ask about work experience, and I guess that was kind of the point. Even if one person felt inspired to do something, then that would be good.
Amazing. And did you have a mentor of at least any description? Or?
I had an informal mentor, and a white middle class man down in London. But he was really helpful for me, and I have had that.
And did that turn into more of a sponsor? Because the difference between mentoring and sponsoring, and the sponsor can sort of speak on your behalf and promote you, speak about you in a different way. The mentoring, or was he just solely a mentor?
No, he was solely a mentor because I felt like, with no disrespect to my recent job, I've recently changed jobs, that when you are in Manchester, you can be a tiny bit taken away from the drama industry. It's all in London, there's no pretending otherwise, it's all down there really. And so keeping your contacts and networks and all that stuff I hate really talking about, but it's important, it's difficult. And so what he really helped me with was just remembering that the world is out there, and just building that confidence to making sure I'm doing this or doing that, and making decisions about what my career, because I'm still on my career path. I haven't made quite where I want to be yet. So.
Where's that?
Well, I have to wait for another 5 years.
I will come back on DidsburyFM and tell us, maybe commissioning, so you can commission that for the young people who are here. Can you talk to us about some of the stuff you're working on at the moment and what's coming? I know you've been engaged in Italy.
I have. So I'm now an exec producer on a Netflix drama called Medici, which is, you can watch series 1 on Netflix at the moment. And it's about the Medici family. who are from the 1450s to 1500s in Florence, sorry. And I'm execing Series 2 and Series 3. Series 2 is now filming, and we have Sean Bean, Sarah Parish, Daniel Sharman starring, which is very exciting. And Series 3 goes into development Monday week, so I've just been putting together my writer's room, my script department, and if anyone's heard of a man called Frank Spotnitz, he wrote pretty much every episode of The X-Files, Man on a High Castle, Ransom. So he's also the exec, but he's wanting to step back, so I'll be stepping forwards for Series 3.
Wow.
And all of my development as well. Developing new ideas and hopefully getting something made that I will be making in Manchester is my plan.
Brilliant. Well, that actually brings me nicely to my last 2 questions, which is 1, are you making anything in Manchester? And 2, as a woman, if you've got a sort of interest, I would say for me, I'm a feminist, so I've always got an interest in seeing young women do well and so on. Have you got a specific sort of angle for things that you make to get more women promoted out there and so on and so forth, or do you just go with the best story?
Do you mean what's on television or the crew behind?
Well, both, off and on.
I would say on screen, if it's a female-led story or not, it's just if it's a very good story. But for me, it's more important to make sure that we have BAME casting, so Black, Asian, Minority Ethnic casting. I'm so furious when I watch things that have got all white people in the cast and then maybe a black friend. Or
who's on for 10 minutes.
Yeah. I think it's disgraceful, and I think that we have a job to do. And even though I'm unable to influence the Medici show because it's already set up and it's already filming. My new stuff and stuff I've always worked on and stuff I'll be working on have always got a mix of faces and on screen. Behind camera, I'm very conscious of making sure that we're hiring women, and something that I will always do is make sure my shortlist of writers are 50-50 mix of male-female, and then it's the best person for the job, but at least they've come on for an interview, and we've got to that. The same with directors, always 50-50, and you're not really allowed to have quotas, but I think it's important to. And on Trust Me that we just made, we had a female DP, camera person on our second unit, which is unusual. I haven't worked with a female DP, it shouldn't be unusual. And yeah, I just think it's important to be hiring women as much as you can.
Amazing. And what do you love about Didsbury? Sorry, I had one last question. What do you love about our area? Some of our past speakers have told us a variety of things, and equally that they feel that we're in a bit of a bubble. And I always say it's fine, as long as we know we are in a bubble, and are doing something about it. So what are sort of your top features of South Manchester, stroke Didsbury?
My top features of
what do you like eating? Is it the tram? Is it the friendliness? Is it stay set before?
Well, when we first moved away from London, neither my husband or I knew Manchester at all. So we lived in town for a year and then deciding where to live, and then we bought a house in Didsbury because we just loved the different restaurants and bars, and it just felt friendly and warm and lovely. I have recently moved out of Didsbury.
Boo!
We come here regularly. I was here Friday night. So just my friends, I think, now in Didsbury, and the kids. You've got lovely clubs here. The sports clubs are brilliant. So it's just a lovely community here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Can I open this up? I know we're running a bit late. It's just everyone is so interesting. To questions. Same format. If you just say your name, and you can ask the question. Stunned silence. Oh, God, we've got 3 at once. Gosh, that has happened. Do you want to go first, and then we'll go to this? What's your name? Yes.
My name's Aisha, and you were just talking about something about Manchester and making something in Manchester, so I was interested in that. What projects did you have in mind?
Oh, I don't have anything yet.
Oh,
I've got some bubbling along, but if it's the 5-year process, which tends to be, I'll have to wait a while. But my plan is that I don't understand why Scotland have got Outlander, that's this big, massive series that returns. Wales used to have, Cardiff used to have Da Vinci Demons, that was a massive thing, and Doctor Who, obviously. I don't know why the North West doesn't have something big that is a massive machine for hiring all, crew all the time. So that's my dream, is to find that show. But other than that, it will be probably some 4, 5, 6 parties in the meantime, which isn't bad if I can get them going as well. So.
Thank you. Good question. Lisa.
I saw you on, I think it was on YouTube, talking about Trust Me.
Oh, really?
Was it
Sorry.
that hospital?
Yeah.
I saw it. What was it? And you
Really good.
Yeah, you built the hospital basically, didn't you?
Yes.
Did you actually do that, or did you get somebody in to do it?
Like, I physically didn't actually do it.
No,
Yes, we did. No, we
Yeah, I've
did.
seen your handiwork.
Yeah, so basically so I knew we were getting our green light to make a production to get the money from the BBC. So I went up to Scotland. I spoke to Screen Scotland, and we had a few appointments at different places in Glasgow and Edinburgh. At the time we were open to Glasgow or Edinburgh. And basically we found this building that was the one. It was just had the space, and I'd always had in my head what it should be, and Dan, the writer, we'd always been on exactly the same page with it. And so then we hired the designer. I hired the female designer, and she started drawing up ideas, and we wanted it to be not a brand new glass type hospital, because I just don't think they look real. They don't feel real, and we wanted it to be aged, to have layers on. I don't know if you probably didn't even notice, but in the reception desk in the hospital is a bit of tinsel that they stuck on with sellotape, and as if they'd ripped off the tinsel. And there's just these layers. But yeah, so the designer did it, and so I mentioned on that thing about the big wires in there. Yeah, so anyway, we had this massive disaster when we found out that there was like 10,000 wires that went through this desk that we couldn't move. So we changed the whole design even after we had started, and redid it, and it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Anyway, so yes.
What's happened to it now?
They have decided to leave it as a standing set because the owners of the building want to try and get more production in there. So they're going to show other productions what they can do with the space.
And is that quite common, that you just build something?
Yes, you just go in somewhere, you use it for what you can, and then you leave again. So none of the equipment's in there. It's literally that, because so we built the walls sort of 6 foot away or something from the actual walls that were there, because they were surrounded by windows, so you didn't want all the windows in there. So they've kept the walls up there, and they're dividing, so we put all those doors in, none of those doors were there. So we did all of that, and they've kept those in, but just to show people you can build a set in there really.
Lady at the front.
You say you've cast your son in a few things. Does he have ambitions to go into the industry, whether it's in front of the camera or behind it?
No, I didn't. No, I think he wants to be a rugby player.
Yes.
So no, he doesn't. The reason why I did it was because he said, if this stays on the internet and he watches it in 15 years' time, he'll hate me. But if he's just very amenable, and he always does what adults tell him to do. So he's like a director's dream. It's true, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for a director, if a director tells him to go and stand there, or go and do that, or go and do that, he just sort of does it. Whereas my daughter would be awful. She would not do what she's been told. So yeah.
Brilliant. We're going to wrap up, because I think we've come to the end. Firstly, can we thank Emily for coming along and giving up her evening to speak to us, please?